one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. I'll call the meeting to order. I'll ask for the quarter treasurer to call the roll.
Barnes.
Here.
Hastings. Lynch.
Here.
Kissel.
Here.
Ford.
Here. I'll also entertain a motion second to approve the agenda for this evening as presented.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second. Motion second by Lynch. Any other discussion? I'll ask for a vote.
Barnes.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Kissel.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes. This time I'll entertain a motion second for an appointment of public official.
Make a motion
Have a name,
to appoint Dewey Williams.
Dewey Williams, a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Been motion second to appoint Dewey Williams, fill the missing spot on our city council. No discussion or questions, I'll ask for a roll call.
Barnes.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Kissel.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes. Okay, Dewey, if you and I think you have someone to swear you in. We'll put you right in the meeting as it goes. You come up here if you want and hit the flag.
Here's the vote.
Okay.
Okay, where do you want to do it?
Wherever, right here be fine. I'll get out of the way.
Right here. Oh.
Welcome aboard. I'll be here in a minute.
There you go.
Right there will be great.
All right. Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Dewey Williams,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States
and to support the Constitution of the State of Arkansas
and to support the Constitution of the State of Arkansas
and to faithfully discharge the duties of,
and to faithfully discharge the duties of
state your position,
City Council, Ward 1, Position 1,
upon which I am now about to enter.
upon which I am now about to enter.
Congratulations.
Grab your seat and shove everybody down, Dewey.
That's got your name on it right there.
Sounds good.
It's the best seat in the house by me. Dewey.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Dewey, appreciate you. Judge, appreciate that. That'll bring us down to the approval of the minutes for the May 17th and 19th meetings, and also the monthly financial. You'll have those in front of you, Dewey. I think I threw them on top. Probably ain't had time to read on, but I'll entertain a motion second to approve them as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it. Any discussion? I'll ask for a roll call.
Barnes.
Yes.
Hastings. Lynch.
Yes.
Kissel.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It brings us down to department head report. Airport commission is first. I don't have anyone from the airport board here. First is, we did get our money back from the taxiway patching that we had fronted out of the grants and development. We got 90% of that back, back to the city. Also, we're still looking for another commissioner for the airport commission, so if you have someone you want to nominate, I'd like to fill that by next month. So I've had a couple of, one was Harvey Swift, and everybody was all for him, but he has a domicile here. He's not a resident here in the state of Arkansas. So I talked to Municipal League at length about that. He would have been a good one. He was willing to do it, but he didn't qualify for that. So I'm still looking for that. Also, we'll get FAA money for a hangar in 9010. That'll be up in our discussion later. And also, airport's going to meet at 12 o'clock this coming Monday at noon right here. Talked to several people about the dirt. We'll talk about that Monday. I think Jeff had an idea about, we're talking about either sell it or keep it. We're probably gonna need a lot of that for patching, and even at the end of the runway, he made a pretty good point on past the fence, there's a pretty big ditch, and it might be worth our time and effort to maybe put in a tile there and cover that up if you ever have anyone overshoot the runway. I think that's been discussed several years, and so we might want to, we have a year to move that dirt. So the city and the water department have already moved some, but they can still keep utilizing that, but we do have a year to move that. That's about all I have on the airport. Other thing, I have, the court is the district court, it's needing a circuit court, I'm sorry. On July the 26th through the 29th, looking for a place to have a jury trial, and they were needing permission from the city council to use the airport on July the 26th through 29th for that, for a jury trial. They talked about that, if that's okay. I'll entertain a motion in a second to approve that, and we can discuss it. I'll let Chad fill you in on
I move we grant approval to the circuit court for jury trial.
I'll second
Any discussion or questions, or you want to?
I'll just explain. It's a bit of a contingency. I don't know that we'll require it, but the courthouse is having some AC repairs done, and it gets pretty hot. It gets pretty hot right now, so we're looking at a jury trial in July. And so either number one, there might be a little bit of construction going on with the replacement of the AC unit at the courthouse, or two, if the parts haven't come in yet and the repair hasn't been done, it might really not be bearable in the courthouse for a trial in July. And so we were just looking at contingencies, what we can do, and Judge Foster came up here and looked at this, and we think this is gonna be adequate for a sort of a relief, a fallback, a place to have a trial if we need to. So there are 4 or 5, 6 or 7 trials set during that week, so if we need one and we want to go ahead and get approval now so that we can set up and try here. We would use this room for the courtroom, and then we need judges' chambers and a jury deliberation area, so we were looking at those 2 areas, the office and then the pilot's lounge, for that, so.
Yeah, and I'll mention that on Monday also at the airport commission, so. Any other questions for?
No, would they be interrupted if somebody landed and needed to use the facilities, or?
Well, I mean, yeah, well,
Yes.
the answer is yeah, but I mean, we're not gonna close. I mean, obviously somebody can still come in. I guess the facilities, the office and the pilot's lounge, so
Okay.
I don't know how essential the pilot's lounge is to keep, I mean.
No, as long as somebody lands and needs to use the restroom, or?
No, it'd just be,
Yeah.
it'd just be the pilot's lounge and then that office, and then this would be the courtroom area.
Yeah.
So, and it's gonna be, most of the time we end up having like maybe, 1 day of trials when we have trials set, but we do have them set for that full week.
Depends on how well you can handle a plea. Anything else on that? If not, I'll entertain, I'll ask for a vote for the approval.
Barnes,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Pistol,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anything else on the airport? Brings us to animal control. Current status, we have 3 dogs and 1 cat. Talked to Lori, they're still scheduled to transfer at the end of the month over to the city, and she's been working with me on everything. Obviously, we're gonna talk about that. That's the last thing on the agenda. Any input that anyone wants to make or questions, we'll answer them and try to get an agreement put together with the county. At the time we take over, there will have 2 dogs and 1 cat. And Lori said the cat needs a home, but doesn't need anything with it. It's doesn't get along with anything, so. Anyway, I said I would mention that. So we have about 3 weeks left. That's all I have on animal control. Obviously, we'll talk to that at length here in a little bit. Brings us down to fire department report. Chief D.L. Webb.
Unfortunately, we've been pretty busy this month. We've had a fire alarm at Leffler's Estates again. Somebody's burned some more food. We did have a vehicle accident over on Highway 16 East that resulted in a fatality. We did have to use the jaws there. We also had a vehicle accident on 65 up here in front of Sonic. There was injuries. We did use the jaws on that one also. We had a vehicle fire over in front of Mackham's, across from Howard's Antique, just this last Sunday, I think. Let's see, we also had a vehicle accident in front of PEH, so there's been a lot of vehicle accidents this month. We did have emergency driving training at our fire station. Sean is one of our teachers, and he taught that, and that is academy approved. We've done some fire inspections. The Clinton Schools has been inspected, as well as Boston Mountain. I'd like to thank a couple of people before we go any further on that. I want to thank the water department for one. They had some old hydrants that they have pulled out of the ground, and we are always looking to better our ISO rating to help the citizens of this city. They donated one of their hydrants to us. I have it down at Torch and Grind. They're gonna cut a section out of that hydrant to where we can see the inner workings of a hydrant. That is ISO points when it comes to them coming to check what all we have. So that's about 5 points. So I wanna thank them for that. And that's another thing. The water department is very important to the fire department, not just for putting fires out, but everything they do with their water lines and pressure and new hydrants and everything they do, that affects our ISO rating, because when they can't come to check, they will check our dispatch, they'll check what we have and what the water supply is. So everything the water department has done has helped us and helped everybody in the city, and hopefully we're working towards better insurance ratings for everybody. I want to thank Councilman Pistol. I heard just a while ago, one of our hydrants by McDonald's needed some weed eating. That is the
I couldn't find it, I was gonna go.
That is the worst hydrant we have, as far as it has vines and everything else grows in there, and it's just terrible to try to keep that thing cleaned out. And I heard that you had it cleaned, and I greatly appreciate that. Let's see. One last thing, and it's not just our fire department, it's any volunteers in the county. I seen a post on Facebook that I thought was very true. With gas prices being $4+ a gallon, there's a lot of volunteers, whether it's fire departments, rescue squad, that are going to vehicle fires, going to wrecks, going to house structure fires on their dime, because they want to serve their community. And I would like to thank everybody that's a volunteer, no matter what it is, because I know it's tough on everybody right now, but volunteerism is what makes a community, and I greatly appreciate all of it. With that, if y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
No, I think July the 6th, we might have some congressional traveling through here and look at the plan, so I'm gonna mention that to you. Okay. Thank you, Chief. Brings us down to Parks and Rec and also Street Department report. Start out with Parks, Charles Wilson.
I guess there's something going on every weekend at the park from now until July. The co-ed's playing softball. They're gonna need the lights at night. I don't know if y'all wanna set a price on what to charge them. We're gonna have several games that they're gonna need lighting for on 2 fields. So I don't know if there's a set price or if you just wanna negotiate a price or whatever.
When are they gonna start?
Next week, I believe. The 21st, 6/21 is the first game. Looks like they're gonna have a bunch of games at night, just about 2 a week. And looks like just about every week they've got one that starts at 8:30, and they'll probably have to run the lights till 9:30, 10 o'clock, time everybody gets off the field. Do we wanna give them a key? They'll turn off the normal lights.
Would it be possible to have them, if they want to utilize the lights in our next meeting, retroactively go back and come up? I think you talked, you talked to them and said?
Yeah, I've talked to them,
Okay.
told them I'd work, however with them, the council wanted to work with them, however they wanted to.
Right, I didn't
I
want to just like.
can't remember
price, I didn't
how
know.
much we charged them last time. I don't think it was a great big fee. What was it, $600 or something for the whole season?
I could go back and look, 'cause
Yeah.
I was the guy, I'm not the guy anymore, but I was the guy before.
So-
I think
I think
they
it was
did
around
600.
650,
Yeah.
somewhere in
I
there.
know we just did a flat number
Yeah.
to pay to run the lights.
Yeah, and she said they was more willing to pay for the lights. They're gonna buy their own chalk. I told her where to get the chalk and everything. So we'll just have to assign somebody a key. They'll have to come in and sign a key out and then bring the key back.
I think it's Josie. Is Josie the one doing it?
Yeah, I believe so.
I gave Josie kind of my packet of all the stuff that I had when I
Okay.
did it.
Did
And
she-
included within that was a field use agreement, and I told her she was welcome to take it and tweak it and do whatever.
Okay.
So,
Well, she didn't bring it to me. She just like blah, 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 and we need to use this. And I'm like, cool, I don't care, but we gotta get approval and we gotta get permission.
it would be good for everybody to have a field use agreement.
Yes.
Her included, so,
Do I need to come by and get a copy of that and just have them sign it or do whatever? Or
it's as
shut
easy for
down?
me as just hitting print on my computer. I mean, like
Yeah.
switch out years and things like that, but I did it just as a courtesy for people, so and I'd be happy to help her if she wants me to.
Yes, that'll be great. That'll work for me. And like I said, I mean, I think it was around 650, which is fine. And then if they buy their own chalk, that's great. So
Do you wanna do that motion, say to use the same amount? Or
Whatever
If
that-
you get approval, that
to
way
use
you go and
that
get it
field.
signed now, that way, that's gonna make it better than trying to go
Sure.
back later.
So this is for someone different than normally uses the fields?
yes,
Oh,
It's,
co-ed.
okay.
Clinton had a team one year, the city council, we don't want to go.
We kinda, I think it was kinda
Deacon
broke
wouldn't
up
play.
after the pandemic, Josie fired it back up.
It kind of went away. And looks like they got quite a few people playing, so that'll be.
I'd be happy, like I said, we had an agreement in place before. She can have that one to use it, the city can use it, whatever, that's fine with
Do
me.
y'all want to just
Do you wanna-
transfer that agreement over? Do y'all want to go ahead and approve just transferring that agreement?
Yeah, I make a motion, we use the same agreement, same price.
Okay.
There's been a motion, same agreement, same price, to have a second.
Yeah, second.
Second by Lynch. Any other discussion or questions?
Sounds great to me.
I'll ask for a roll call.
Barnes,
Yes.
Lynch, Pistol,
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Okay, keep going, Charles.
Yeah, they're going.
They're still under parks, is that it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it, other than we got Archie Fest coming up. I think the June bug thing actually done fairly decent with everything that was going on. We had, Shirley had stuff going on, I think everywhere somebody was doing something.
My comedy routine didn't go so
Your
well.
call.
But the rest of, yeah, I thought it was really successful, actually. I had some local talent, it went well, and the first rattle out of the box, Sid King did a really good job.
I think there's a flag ceremony this weekend down there.
Yeah, I'm getting,
Saturday.
Junebug went well, the Archie Fest is coming up, 24th, 25th. Saturday, the 11th, that's this Saturday from 10 to 12. Woodman of the World has donated a flag, and we've got that flagpole up. I was talking to the lady today over that, they'll be there. They're gonna do three things. One, there's gonna be a sign up, just a drawing, so you can just put your name down, for $100 basket. It's Stevens Creek, $75 and $25 of Outback Steakhouse gift certificate. So if nothing else, go down there and sign up for that. Also, they're gonna do fingerprinting for kids. Do that for free, so you can have that on file. It might be a good safety issue. And then at noon, they're gonna dedicate the flag down there at the park. So that's this Saturday from 10 to 12 down at the park. Let's see, we'll do that under streets up beyond. There was one other. Thought I had it. Oh, sorry, Rick. Rick Wolf's here. I'll give you the floor. You know about Archie Fest coming up, and you have
I
a car
am.
show coming up.
I just wanted to update everybody. First, I want to thank everybody for the opportunity, to be able to do it. It's really been a challenge. Put it together for the first year, for us to be doing it for the first year. I ain't gonna lie, it's been a challenge. It's been a lot of work. I want to thank the A&P for their contribution, and I just put it right back in the community, and that's my whole purpose. My whole purpose is to try to put something together that's quality, that's good for the community, and then I want to see the funds that's generated put right back into the community, you know, in way of donations to local charities. So, but what I brought tonight was, I wanted to show you the trophies that we built, and then these were all built by, actually, they were all built by me. So, and I built, actually 69 of these. And then, of course, this is the grand champion.
That's the one everybody's after.
This is the one at the end of the day that somebody wants to
You
walk.
put my name on that.
We really don't need that in front of Tim Clark right now.
No, he blocks him. It's good.
Tim really helped me out with this. He did. And then I've got one that's in between these two, and that was for my super sponsor, which this year the super sponsor is CarQuest down here. So, and they've really stepped up, man. Greg is just. Y'all know I'm a real transparent guy, so I'll tell you whatever dollar figures, they just run out of my mouth like I don't care, because I don't. Okay, it's what it is, and we're going to be very transparent about it. But I asked them for $1,000 for a super sponsorship, and that's generally what we've always asked in the past. And Greg came forward with a check for $1,500. So, you know, that kind of thing just inspires me to want to do. You know, when you're trying to do something good, and then people step up and try to do better. You know, so I mean, that's what makes our community so blessed. You know, and I feel like we're gonna. You know, we are in line with everything that we're trying to do as far as the show goes. I brought this paper because I just wanted to show you the ad that we put in the paper. But then also, I'm doing advertising with the SID, there's 92.1. But like I said, all the money that we're getting, it stays here. And that, to me, that's important. That's what I want. I want to try to make sure that happens.
Still the same vicinity and the square and what?
Absolutely. My son and I went down there. He's going to be my PA guy,
Okay.
right? And he and I used to play music. So he's got a big old.
We needed you at the June bug. I
I don't know. That might have been a matter of opinion. At one time I was good. Not to say that. I'll say that. Maybe not as much as I was. But he's went around. He's looked at the downtown. You know, at the setup there, and I feel like we've got a good solid setup for the sound. That's always kind of been an issue in the past with it being spread out as far as it is. You know, because man, you're encompassing a couple of blocks. So, and I think that as far as the park down there, we're gonna have, you know, several vendors that's gonna set up down there too, and I spoke with Charles about that. He and I spoke on the phone about that, so I think, hey, everybody's really been real helpful, you know, and it's working out great. I just wanted to thank y'all, you know.
Well, you're welcome. We appreciate you taking it over and keeping it going. It's always been a really good show, and I don't see anything less than what we'll have, and everybody needs to, you know, help get the word out.
Right, thank you. Thank y'all, I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Rick. I think that's everything under,
We remodeled the bathrooms at the kiddie park, put new cabinets in, new sinks, painted the outside and the inside. It looks a lot nicer down there. A few other things we need to do, but I'm running a little money, Tom. We got the electric fixed and all that, so. We'll do more next year.
Sorry. Okay, that's the park. Bring us down the streets.
I got a bunch of signs ordered. There's a bunch down. I made a big order. It's gonna take a little while to get the signs in. I'm using a guy in Greenbrier. He's not local, but he's a lot localer than sending them off. Real good guy. He gives us good prices, everything. So the new backhoes come in. Used it quite a bit today. Went and fixed a couple of streets that we're getting pretty run down. Hopefully the sidearm bush hog will be in the next few weeks, and we can start pushing some of them back and getting stuff cleaned up. Got the new work truck in. Other than that, we got bids we're getting. I've got a bunch of streets labeled out for repair, fixing to work on. Got some culverts I gotta replace, 2 or 3 of them. There's a bunch of little small patches we're gonna do, I'm gonna get with Randy, he's got a guys coming in and get some prices, so as soon as I get some of that, maybe by the next council meeting or so, we can get some stuff approved and get some patches fixed. We've
I
got-
appreciate the county working with us
Yes.
on that, because there's a lot of places, just little places we need.
Yeah, and they've been real good.
If they're in the area, it gets it done, so that really helps the city out when the county sends the guy that they're talking to with us, so appreciate that.
Other than that, if anybody's got any questions or something they want done.
And I had Junk Be Gone under.
Yeah, Junk Be Gone is Friday and Saturday at the end of Factory Road, the old boat factory. Be there on that slab, so you bring stuff in and
Bring it Friday, tomorrow and Saturday, or you can get down there and then next week they can call me to, we overlook something. Anything else on streets for Charles? Okay, thank you. Brings us to Police Department report, Chief Jay Murdoch.
Last month or so has been pretty busy, like Chief Webb said. We've had quite a few accidents. I don't know if you guys saw the big one in front of Sonic the other day. What that was is just people not paying attention when they pull out. So we're just asking people, we tell our kids to look both ways before they cross the street. I guess now we're gonna ask the adults, look both ways before you pull out into the street, please. One of the other wrecks we had was unfortunately a fatal here on 16 East. Some speed was involved with that one. So I've got my guys out there working 16 East a little bit, trying to get people to slow down, so hopefully we don't have another one of those. Our call volume's picked up a little bit. On the animal control side, we had 10 calls for animal control last month. We only had to pick up 1 dog. And we actually found that dog's home before we had to take it to shelter, so it's a pretty good thing. Other than that, I've got one thing. When we had the legislative audit, was it last year, Ms. Dina? Found out that we were missing a radio that was on our audit list. I've been at the police department going on 13 years now. I don't think I've seen this radio in 4. So I don't know if it was one of the ones that was just lost in the course of duty. But when we came up with the audit, that's what we got dinged on last year. So I don't have it. I don't know where it's at. So I need a motion and second to approve to take it off our list, because if we don't take it off, we're just gonna get hit again.
Okay, you need a motion, second to remove the radio from the,
Yes, remove one Motorola XPR 7550. And if I need to, I can give you the serial number to remove that off our fixed asset
do we
list.
need the serial number read out?
It's on the sheet.
Yeah, if you would, just
Okay.
read it out.
It'll be one Motorola XPR 7550, serial number 871TRFE190.
Okay, entertain a motion, second to remove that from the inventory.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? I'll ask for a vote.
Barnes,
Yes.
Hastings,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Pistol,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Anything else for the chief? It'll be under the animal shelter discussion, but next Tuesday, I think,
Yes.
Lori and you and I and whoever else, but definitely we spend quite a bit of time that day talking all the issues we talked about, intake, dog bites, shots, et cetera, et cetera. And still waiting on one bid for that police remodel. I think one of our main guys is about 3 weeks out, so hopefully have all that. Definitely will have it in by the next meeting and discuss that. That's all I have under police department. Anything else?
That's all I've got, unless you have any questions for me.
I didn't get it.
That's all I have, unless somebody's got a question for me.
I can't hear it today. You'll figure that out. Okay, thank you, Chief. Brings us down to Water and Sewer Department report. Will Hinchy.
Apologize, everybody. I keep looking at my phone, texting. My son's in a baseball tournament in the finals, so we're trying to. We're not doing good. So anyhow.
You need to send him a real mean text, that's what I do.
Yeah. Anyway, Clinton water loss, this, in the month of, in April and May, we were 28% for the entire system. Denard by itself was at 14%, and it's still holding still pretty steady. Burnt Ridge was, at 32%. Now that's down from 45%, and I had told you guys that I'd had an electrician come in, and we've been running the pumps. This is the first time we've had a full month in on running that pump, taking that tank out of commission. So what we're doing is we're just running a pump 24 hours a day on a VFD just to see if some of our water loss was from that Burnt Ridge tank leaking. So you can see it's not a huge amount of it, but it was a portion of it. So this is the first full month of that 32. On that 32% water loss. It's just showing we do have some other leaks out there that we haven't found on that small system, but a small portion of that was the tank. And saying that, repairing and or it's not a repair tank, that's a replacement tank. From here on, I'm gonna look and say we got a full month on running that pump station the way we are. If we can alternate those pumps, run it on the VFD. Running on the VFD, it's not running at full hertz, it's running like half power. Actually full hertz on that thing running full flags is 60 hertz, and we've been running that thing about 14 hertz, and then when there's high usage it goes up to about 20 something. So if the energy cost isn't too bad, I would propose that we don't replace that tank, but I got to look into fire protection, stuff like that too, so it's not just but I will know by the end of the month, what it costs us to run that way instead of using the tank, because replacement on that tank is going to be several $100,000. So, that's one thing we have been working on and looking at. But to go on, chemical cost this last month was 9 cents a thousand at the water treatment plant. We've been making several taps, so don't think that. Not just, some of them's been in city limits, a lot out Burnt Ridge. I think in the last 2 weeks we've made 10 new taps for new customers. 2 out Denard, I think 3 Burnt Ridge, a few out Culpeper Way. So, the water system's still growing. So, talk to the contractors for the pole yard project. The altitude valves were shipped back to California because the parts come in that go to the altitude valve. They have been completely completed, and they have been they've been operation fixed, programmed, and are being shipped the 14th of this month to Core and Main and Little Rock, and then we'll be brought
Well,
here.
that's all I had was Core Main. I got Brandon's number, and I said I wouldn't call him until the 10th.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They're supposed to be shipped from California to Arkansas on the 14th, so I'm not really sure delay time or anything like that, but that's the ship date. And they're supposed to be completely calibrated, operational, so.
Okay, that's your pole yard there. That's what I had. Also, where are they playing, your kid?
Their equipment.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I would've.
So he's on the
Clinton.
Clinton Razorbacks team, and right now it's epic. Right
If I'd have
now
known
it's
that,
5-1.
I'd have moved you
We're
up
losing.
further in the deal, but in the agenda is, you've gotta do that, wastewater system, the
Yeah,
ANRC.
that's why I'm here.
Well, okay. All right, we'll try to get on through it. The other thing was, right now we have Matt Stewart, Kristen Fleming, John Treese, Adam McJunkin. We've been looking for a 5th commissioner for the Water and Sewer Board. Talked to all the commission on there, and some of y'all about Steve Nichols. I approached him a while back. We know Steve, he's in the city. That was one of the issues, maybe want to try to get someone in town, and he's agreed to do that. I think it'll be a really good addition for our Water and Sewer Board. I'd like to go ahead and nominate, or get a motion second to approve Steve Nichols for our Water Commission.
So motion?
Second.
Either way.
And any discussion? I'll ask for a vote.
Forms,
Yes.
Hastings,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Thank you. Anything else for Will? If not, we'll move to zoning, department. Tim Clark.
We had our workshop a couple of weeks ago with FTN and with Montague with Arkansas Natural Resources about our flood maps. I think most of y'all were here. I think the main thing they wanted out of that, they've got these engineers that sit behind computers and run data into models, and what they were here for was to kind of verify, is this accurate? Is this actually what happens? This is what the computer says happens, but is it actually what happens? And I think they got some really good information from DL, from Sammy, from Don Richardson, and a whole lot of different people, and they say, okay, here's what the computer's spitting out. Okay, that's not right. That's never flooded. You know, that didn't even flood in the flood of '82. And so that's kind of the information they wanted to take back and go, okay, is our models being skewed by one event, one perfect storm, one day of plenty of snow up above town, ground's already saturated, huge rain, and then they have to take into consideration the channelization of Archie, the addition of the bypass. And so that's what they were looking for. And I talked to Lee today and I said, does it look like it's gonna be favorable to us? And of course, he's not gonna commit, but he said, I'd say I'm 75% sure it's going to be favorable to you. And he said, all I can say for sure is we are working towards making this as favorable to the city as possible. And of course, we're gonna have another meeting. They're gonna submit their findings to FEMA in October. But we'll have a meeting long before then for them to say, okay, this is it, here's what we've come up with. And that'll be our final opportunity to go, oh, no, we don't like that, scratch that, whatever you gotta do. Now, whether they will or not, I don't know, but we'll still get another look at it before they ever submit it to FEMA. And I know I remember probably 3 or 4 years ago when me and Richard were down there and they said it's gonna take 5 years to get new maps, and we said, absolutely not, that's not gonna work for us. Obviously you don't know who we are. And, well, they let us know who we were. And sure enough, it takes 4 or 5 years to get that done.
Well, the next meeting, I think, we had a good turnout from the owners downtown. The court
Yeah.
square is a big issue, and there's a lot of good input. And I do believe they're putting a lot of decision on one event. I think we need to have a good turnout and say, look, once that was dredged, or once it has not, it ain't gotten close.
Right.
And any runoff we get downtown is off Bus Station Hill. And that's from clogged, and Will and Charles been talking about that, changing that pipe and cleaning out that one, not causeway, but that drain that's full of gravel. So I would definitely set the date, we need a good
Yeah.
turnout for that.
Yeah, we need a good turnout, we need everybody to be here, because this will be, this is.
I feel good
they're
about
gonna
it,
say,
and I'll feel
this is
better
what
about
we're
it when it's
fixing to
approved.
submit to FEMA in October. What do you think? Is this accurate? Is this really what happens? So the more input we give them, the better, because once that's over, that's right. And then, like he said, once they submit it to FEMA, to get them to change something after they submit it to it, I think he said.
We just need to get on the front end.
Yeah, we need to do it on the front end, not the back end. So, we'll get the information out to everybody when we're gonna have that meeting in plenty of time so we can plan for it. The other thing is, I don't know if, I hear on the radio, y'all probably do too, there's a big push for solar panels. I hear it on the radio every single day. If you live in these states, they'll pay for 100% of you to put up solar panels and blah, 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 blah. I spent about 2 or 3 hours with the state electrical inspector today, because right now, the power companies are only taking the electrical inspectors inspections. And rightfully so, because all the local inspectors, we don't know much about it. So they're taking us around with them and showing us, and they're gonna have some classes on it. And what we're gonna have to do, and I'm gonna work on this and propose this in the future, I'll have to work with Chad on it, we're gonna have some type of permit they have to pull, because right now this is new. We don't have a permit for a company to say, we're coming in there, we're gonna do solar panels on this house or that house. We just don't have one. Well, we've gotta have one, so we can set up an inspection schedule with them, because the state guy said we can't keep doing them. We're stressed anyway. We can't do this all over the state. And he said, we haven't, of the hundreds they've done, they haven't passed one of them on the first trip. They failed every time. And about 50% of them failed the second inspection after they've told them what to do. Because it really is a new thing that they're doing. And so they're not, hadn't had time for it to be in place on all these houses, and people are saying, oh my gosh, this is what's happened to my house. They've put, I think this system we looked at today was 1.5 tons worth of panels up on this roof. And, he looked at me and, can that structure handle that? Heck, I don't know what that's made of. I don't know. Should have been stamped by an engineer that said that structure is gonna handle that weight. But I hadn't got that far along yet with that. So.
I mean, are these permits, are we needing an action tonight or just?
No. I haven't even looked into it yet. I'm gonna have to contact some other towns that have this. And I think the state guy said, we've got some you can look at, but you're definitely gonna have some kind of permit that these guys say, we're gonna be in town, we're doing this house, we need to pull a permit. So we can say, okay, we're gonna do an inspection, a 2-phase inspection here and here, and check them. Because obviously
We got municipal league next week and then somebody down there will
yeah, we're gonna talk
have
about
a.
it again down there.
Anything else? I have Philip Carper with Data Scout, came and I think sent by the county, thanked you guys over to us, and Tim and I looked at, what they can do with mapping. It's very, very beneficial to about every department. Of course, there's a fee involved, but that's something we can put together, consider in our budget for 2023. Very impressive. Zoning totally needs it. We'll talk about the animal shelter, and the judge might can elaborate on it then if we need to, but it's something totally worth looking at. I want all the department heads to come look at that. I think Tuesday, July the 19th, he's gonna come back, 19th or the 21st. I'll gear it around whatever date's best for y'all. I just put Tuesday the 19th, later in the afternoon or even after you get off work for him to do his presentation for us. But I'd like for all the departments, as much as the council wants to see it, come on. If we have the council there and need a special meeting, we'll do that, but it's totally worth looking at. And I'm sure the judge can tell you, yeah, it's pretty handy. So if that date is good, I'll just set that up. That's all I had, other than you might get IDs made for the council with Warren at some point. So we'll talk about that. Anything else for Tim Clark? No? Thank you. Brings us down to unfinished business. One is a resolution for Van Buren County Hazard Mitigation Plan. I thought this had passed the last time until it was over, and it didn't. We had 3 votes and then a 1 no and then a 1 abstain. I'll go ahead and read this resolution again. It's pretty short. It's a resolution adopting the Van Buren County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan with intent to participate and to work toward becoming a safer community. Whereas the city of Clinton, Arkansas recognizes that no community is immune from natural hazards, whether it be tornado, severe thunderstorm, flood, severe winter weather, drought, heat wave, earthquake, dam failure, or wildfire, and recognizes that the importance of enhancing its ability to withstand natural hazards, as well as the importance of reducing the human suffering, property damage, interruption of public services, and economic losses caused by these hazards, And whereas the city of Clinton, Arkansas may have previously pursued measures such as building codes, fire codes, floodplain management regulations, zoning ordinances, storm and water management regulations to minimize the impact of natural hazards. And whereas the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Arkansas Department of Emergency Management Agency have developed a natural hazard mitigation program that assists communities in their efforts to become a disaster-resistant community that focus not just on disaster relief, but also on recovery and reconstitution that brings the community to at least a pre-disaster condition in an accelerated, orderly, and pre-planned manner. And whereas by participating in the natural hazards mitigation program, the city of Clinton, Arkansas will be eligible to apply for post-disaster mitigation funds. And whereas the city of Clinton, Arkansas will implement pertinent precepts of the mitigation plan in cooperation with the community partners and by incorporation of relevant information into other community plans and merchants where appropriate. And whereas the city of Clinton, Arkansas will participate in the evaluation and review of the plan after disaster, as well as complete a mandated 5-year update submitted to the State Emergency Management Agency and the Federal Emergency Management Agency for review and approval. And whereas the city of Clinton, Arkansas acknowledges that participation in the plan is voluntary, not mandatory, and can withdraw and not be eligible for said grants at any time or upon update of the plan or at least every 5 years as required. And now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the city of Clinton, Arkansas as follows. The city of Clinton, Arkansas hereby approves the regional multi-jurisdictional natural hazard mitigation plan attached hereto for the purpose of building a safer community by reducing natural hazard vulnerability. I'll entertain a motion in a second to approve that.
Make a motion, we adopt the resolution.
Second.
Second, any discussion? I'll ask for a roll call.
Horns,
Yes.
Hastings,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Pistol,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
2022-07.
Okay. Brings us down to, I have IT update, Lawson Bonds. We talked to him earlier in the year about taking over our IT work, replacing Jessica Crabtree. And he came in, I think a couple of days ago, maybe last week, and he said he's at the point he needs to install a firewall. That'll take about 8 hours, and he'll shut down everything and reboot it. Won't have any downtime. Says he has 98% of the website moved from Jessica's card to his card. Then he says we need to choose a format. He'll format of what's going on in the city, how the ordinance want to be listed, any other fees included. So I'm interested in see what any additional fees would be and what the bottom line is. And he said he wants to make his site a lot cleaner with less maintenance. I talked to Sean a little bit about this. I know, and I talked to Lawson when he came in. I know we're going to the Municipal League next week, and there's a Jeff Melton who kind of gears everything for municipalities. He knows the ins and outs. I certainly want to talk to him since it's this close to kicking that off. So see here what he has to say about our issues, and then after that, I'll come back to the council and discuss that with you, if that's okay. That's just what I have on the IT. And I'm talking about a lot of stuff, obviously, that, I don't know what I'm talking about, or IT stuff. I know Sean does and y'all do. Anybody, this table probably knows more about it than I do. I bet you do, Dewey. But anyway, I just want to talk. I know at Municipal League you have availability to a lot of technology, and I definitely want to talk to Jeff Melton since we're only 3 days out. So, with permission, I'll do that. That's all I have on that. Nina, do you want to add anything, or Sean?
Ask when, I'm curious, they should have some kind of what I want to call a template of how the layout is of the website, so we could look and kind of, or even if he just says, hey, go look at A, B, C, and D website, see which one y'all like the best.
A template from Lawson,
yeah,
or
it's a website template
Yeah.
he was talking about earlier.
what's that?
That he was ready to transfer, or almost
Right.
done, but
You want to see what you're getting before he's like, here it is.
yeah, there should be a kind of a layout, what I want to say, a page, layout of, and you got a columns on this side and information on this, you know. There's gonna be a handful of layouts, and then we can, somebody, I mean, whoever can pick and choose kind of, yeah, we like the way this looks.
Okay, yeah, I'll have him submit it to you for sure. And I'll see what Jeff Melton has to say, and what
Yeah.
he has to offer.
Jeff would, I would feel like they would know, you know, kind of an idea.
Okay.
On the code layout, I'd like to talk to him about just what to put in that, and
Okay.
Yeah.
send them to me, I'll talk to him about it.
Yeah, yeah, and all the, you know,
Okay.
resolutions for last,
Yeah, just get that, well, yeah, just, I'll.
some type of a search engine that would search a little bit easier and some things like that.
Yeah, having the code now, you should be able to say, here's the code, and then what you need to do is a tab that shows, here are all the ordinances we passed since we did the model code.
Yes.
And that way everybody will be up to date with, you shouldn't have to go back 100 years on our old ordinances and there.
Hearing this Jeff Melton, I think he's totally geared, I mean, he knows all the ins and outs of municipalities, which may be different. It sounds like it does in the regular business, I guess. I don't know. Okay, I'll make sure I talk to you for sure. Anything else on that? Okay, brings us down to new business. The first thing is a resolution for an FAA grant for Clinton Municipal Airport. This is a grant we'll get to build the hangars. It'll actually be 100% paid for. And this is just, and it's kind of self-explanatory in the title. Dan Clinton was saying, we just need permission to go ahead and pass this resolution, adopt it, so we can get started on that and apply for the grant. This is for the design and the layout. And part of that will be get rid of the dirt in the next year, move it somewhere, however we do that. This is a resolution authorizing the city of Clinton through its mayor to enter into a grant agreement with the Federal Aviation Administration to construct hangar access taxiways, design only, at the Clinton Municipal Airport, CCA, FAA project number AIP 3-05-0077-20-024-2022. Resolved, the city of Clinton desires to enter into a grant for purposes to construct hangar access taxiways, design only, at the Clinton Municipal Airport. The FAA grant AIP 305-0077-024-2022 in the amount of $67,313 payable from funds of the U.S. government. Total project amount $74,793, with remainder funds in the amount of $7,484 payable from the Arkansas Division of Aeronautics. Further resolved, the mayor on behalf of the city of Clinton is authorized to sign the grant agreement and take whatever actions necessary to implement the grant. I'll entertain a motion second to adopt this resolution.
Make a motion, we adopt the resolution.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? I'll ask for a roll call.
Barnes,
Yes.
Hastings,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Pistol,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
2022-08.
Thank you. This brings us to the other resolution Will's talking about. It's a resolution designating and authorizing the mayor and the manager of the city of the Clinton water and wastewater system to execute certain documents in connection with funding administered by the Arkansas Natural Resources Commission. Whereas the city of Clinton, Arkansas owns and operates a water and wastewater system, the system in order to provide water and wastewater service to meet the needs of the city and its inhabitants. And whereas the city council has determined that it is in the best interest of the city and its inhabitants to apply for assistance from the Arkansas Natural Resource Commission, the ANRC, in order to make certain improvements to the system. Now therefore be it resolved by the city council of the city of Clinton, Arkansas, section 1, that the mayor of the city as the signatory agent or the successor of said agent is hereby authorized and directed to make application for assistance administered by the ANRC and to execute, when approved by the city council, a bond purchase agreement and instruments used or made pursuant thereto on behalf of the city from time to time. In section 2, the manager of the system is the signatory agent or the successor of said agent is hereby authorized to execute for and on the behalf of the city all other documents and certificates required. I'll entertain a motion, a second, to pass that.
Make a motion, we adopt the resolution.
I'll second it.
Any questions or explanation needed? I think we have to go through it.
Yeah,
No
I'd
matter who
like
we
to speak
use.
on that just a little bit. I don't even like to talk, but, pretty much on that, anytime since this new act has come out, and I think it's Act 305, I give everybody a copy of it, and if I've screwed that up, I'm sorry for the senator that pushed the bill and I screwed up his act. But, pretty much what it's saying is anytime a city or a water department is how it specifies, takes out a loan for over 20% of what their yearly revenue is, you have to go through ANRC now. You have to do a rate study every 5 years, whether you're getting a loan or not. So we gotta get ready for that. So from now on, whether we're taking out a bond or anything, every 5 years, the water department has to do a rate study. That rate study is gonna be turned into ANRC and their financial auditor. So it's gonna be a federal audit that our rate study gets turned into. It's a very, very in-depth rate study. And if they don't like what they see on our rates, you have no say on it. They can up our rates at any time and we have no control. So I do not agree with this act. This act was actually put in to actually help the little people, and I don't think now you've got the government controlling all your rates. I think we're in a lot better shape than what we were 3 years ago with this. But before I can get a loan through ANRC, a grant through ANRC, a bond through any individual lender, everything has to go through ANRC. So pretty much this is the frontline step on this. And we're wanting to turn in all of our 10-year plan to ANRC. That way it's already there to them. If we go private bond agency or if we go through ANRC, which ANRC is a lot more in-depth and there's a lot more paperwork, but the interest rates are usually lower. But there is a potential 20% of that could be grant. So pretty much this is the front stages of you giving the mayor, which this is just the signatory part. This is not you accepting any kind of loans. We'll have to, if we do get approved, if ANRC approves any of the projects we turn into them, we'll still have to come back and you'll have to vote to accept the money. So this isn't putting anybody in debt. This is the front steps of what we're fixing to have to look at in the future.
Questions? So, Will, we were talking about, I'm talking about the state of Arkansas through there approving that or on the.
Yeah, this act was passed on a state level.
Okay, so.
The state senator put this in, he put it in 3 different times, and you have to put it in, you can only put it in once every 3 years. So for 9 years this has been going on and it's got rejected. Well, it's finally got approved and it's here. So this, and I've given, and if you need an extra copy of all the details on that, it goes in detail on all the rate study. But whether we take out a loan from now on or not, which we're going to have to do this 10-year plan, we're going to have to do a rate study every 5 years. That rate study has got to be done by an approved engineering firm, where Arkansas Rural Water is on the list. They have a list of approved people, and that's the only people who can do it. Arkansas Rural Water is one of those approved. Now, they are going to have a training on this in-depth rate study. They don't even have all the guidelines for it yet, but it's pretty in-depth. It's a complete audit on everything in our system. We'll be required to have pricing on replacement parts for everything in the system. So it's very, very in-depth, so.
Anything else for Will, or not, I'll ask for a vote.
Barnes,
Yes.
Hastings,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Issel,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
2022-09.
Thank you. Brings us down to the last item on our new business, animal shelter transfer discussion. Years ago, came back in the late 90s, and poured some concrete for Don Hensley. I think he was on the city council, having trouble with animals in town, and over the years, I don't have to give you a whole history, but it got where we had a lot of packs of dogs and on the football field, and et cetera, et cetera. And finally got an animal control system going. The county had it, and over time the prices just went up and got almost unmanageable. Lori Treat came along with SNP and said she had taken over and signed a 5-year contract. And I think she earned the trust of some folks, some Hendersons, that when they passed away, they left a large amount of money, or seemed a large amount of money, and then paid their bills, and then she's been working off that the last 5 years. She indicated that at the end of this month, the first year, that they weren't going to renew that 5-year loan, and been trying to find a way, best way to approach that. Someone have to address this issue, in my opinion. As a city and municipality, you have to have something in place for some sort of animal control. On just if you have a rabid dog or a dog bite or a traffic stop, you have to have some system in place. What a lot of it comes down to, and during this discussion next few weeks, will be at what point, how much do we want to invest? You can spend money just unlimited on something like this. But as far as the public health, safety, and welfare of a community, I'm certain there's something in place. I don't think anyone here disagrees with that. However, we have to do something in a way that we maximize our finances. We can't just spend money that we don't have, and we'll have to include this in our budget in 2023. There is that trust is still there. There are things that how much money's in there and how much we can use per month and what it can go for. We'll discuss that. I believe anything for the well-being of the animal we can use money on. I think we have up to $3,500 a month to buy feed, pay utilities, also vaccination, anything for the animal. It does not pay for help. I want to go out there and clean the cages. They've relied on volunteers for 5 years, and that's a tired crew. I know Giselle and Callie and Lori and Dakota and Dina and all those people, and a lot of others that I didn't mention, have put a lot of time and sweat equity out there. So they're just tired, and they still care about these animals, but they've got to where they can't. They're done. So there'll be issues that we'll have to solve, and is, what are our requirements? Maybe we can utilize the police department. That's kind of evolving with Chief Murdoch. He may have some input here in a minute. But anyway, I just want to have a discussion. I'll open it up to anybody. The city has to run a tight ship, in my opinion, on intakes and use discretion. We'll get to that. Public safety is important. Financially, the feasibility is always what, this council has not run away from problems, they run toward them, and I say that seriously. And I can assure you, we'll butt heads around this table, but we'll come up with something that'll work, that we can afford, and that'll keep people safe. I don't think anyone here is cruel to any animals, and that's not our point, but we'll have to decide what we can do, and this is step one. And I don't know if that involves in the county, the county judge is here, he'll have some input. I think we'll talk with Chad, getting control of the facility. Anytime you're in partnership with anybody, it works for a while, then it doesn't work, like baseball fields with the school or whatever. I think it's good for one entity to own it. We'll have to charge for intakes. We need to decide on that price. I've talked a little bit with the county about that. And use this trust money responsibly and also in good faith. Talked to Jeff today and some others about, well, how much are our bills? Tomorrow, Friday, I'm gonna spend all day going around and seeing, talk about transferring our utilities over to the city. Is there ways we can insulate and do better? Look at everything. We'll probably use our police department quite a bit. We already have. I think you've been our control officers and will continue to be for the rest of the year. We'll need to get an agreement with, I think the county can pass something. They can look at something we give them. They can pass it in by our next regular council meeting. I know we take over on the 1st of July, but we're going to have 2 dogs and 1 cat, unless there's dog bites or whatever. but I feel very confident for 2 weeks. Might be a good time to kind of learn how to run that. And Lori Treat, not here tonight, but she definitely said she's not going anywhere. She's willing to help. A very good asset, has been in the past, will be in the future. But I just want to talk that out tonight, talk about enforcement, whatever you want to talk about. I'll let Chad talk about, we have an agreement we've kind of put together. I'll let Chad discuss a little bit of that, and then we'll go around the table. Any council member that has any input, then we'll take anything from the audience, and you can come up and introduce yourself and stand up and say your piece. So with that, I'll just open it up for discussion. I'll start with the city attorney and then any of the council members.
So I asked Dina to distribute what's been kind of a work in progress agreement, so I assume everyone's looked at that. It's pretty straightforward. Again, my recommendation on the front end is to talk to the county about getting a transfer, and so that's the number one thing, is the county would transfer by warranty deed the shelter, which is jointly owned right now. It's a joint operation between city and county. I think there's an interest in making some improvements to it, and if you're gonna do that, it'd be good to own the property. And then the next question is gonna be is what's the county gonna do as far as animals? And so leaves a provision in place for the county to still bring animals and you take them in. So it's agreement that you'll take the animals in, and what's probably the subject of continued negotiation and discussion would be what the cost is gonna be to keep these animals. I think what we talked about, what would be fair is that the county pays for what it uses, which is that when it brings a dog in, we figure out like an intake fee and then a daily fee to keep that dog. And so there's a number that's been thrown around. Whether that's gonna be sufficient or not, that's gonna be subject to further discussion, I'm imagining. Reclamation period per the county policy. What reclamation period means is dogs, cats, their property, they're entitled to due process when the government takes someone's property. So when we, city, county, whatever, takes an animal from an owner for whatever reason, or takes a stray, they've got 5 days to reclaim that animal pursuant to county policy. I think the city has the same policy in place. And so that's what that period is. It's a due process period. You really can't do anything about it. And so the point is that when you're holding that dog for that 5-day period, that the county's gonna be responsible since they brought that dog to you. What happens to the dog after that 5-day period is kind of up to you and what sort of policy you set forth. That might be something where you want to think about, is 5 days really going to be enough? Are you really going to keep a dog brought by the county for 5 days and then something happens to it? Or are you going to set something in place where you keep that dog longer? And if so, that might be where you need to talk to the county about making sure they're paying for that. So it's not about making money, it's about paying for what the county's using. So, but this is all set to take place when you take it over, and the county's gonna need to pass an ordinance to approve the agreement and to approve the transfer at their quorum court meeting, and then you're gonna need to pass one. I don't think we're ready to do it now, it's not on the agenda now, but whenever you have a meeting to take that up, you're gonna need to pass an ordinance, or really a resolution on your case, so.
Say that last part.
You'll need to pass a resolution to accept the agreement and to accept the deed.
What would the odds be on, say we take this over, I know it's still the Van Buren County Jail, but like some kind of inmate program to where they could, help, not only maintain, but it would give them something to do.
So the detainees are the responsibility of the sheriff, and so that's gonna be a conversation you could have with the sheriff. Yeah, and of course, there's gonna be a change in administration coming up, so, that certainly could be an opportunity to do something, yeah.
Obviously, that's in flux, and so maybe this, I feel better about, it gives us a little more time to, go back and forth and on price and everything, and then maybe have a direction after the election, whatever it is, and then
To answer your question, just, does it matter that that it becomes a municipal shelter versus a county one? I don't think it will be, because again, if this agreement is approved, you're gonna be a countywide shelter. You're gonna be taking payments countywide. But that's up to, that's a sheriff's decision. He's got security concerns and everything he's gonna have to think about, so that's up to the sheriff.
You say that, like a countywide shelter, which is right, but it's not a quote-unquote countywide drop-off spot. I'm tired, I don't want my dog anymore.
Well, I don't think there's any policy that's ever been in place that just says you can just drop your, well, I'll say, since I've been involved with any county or city where it's legal to just drop your dog off.
Or surrenders, I can't handle this
Yeah,
dog, he's a Great Dane, and he's gonna knock me down and break my hip. I don't think we need to
I think
entertain
it's,
that at all.
I think it is specifically prohibited by county and city ordinances right now. If it's not, we certainly need to. But I think it's illegal to do that.
If a dog drops, if caught in another town like Damascus or somewhere, they responsible for paying that,
Well,
paying for the dog.
so what I think happens is I think the county covers animal control outside the city limits of Clinton and Fairfield Bay. I don't think Damascus has animal control. I don't think, anybody correct me if I'm wrong, I'm gonna open this up to the room, but I don't think City of Shirley has animal control. I don't think City of Damascus has animal control.
No, it would be up to the county.
I think it's the sheriff's
The county
office that
line
provides, yeah, I think the sheriff's office provides that service.
Okay.
If one of those cities decides to do some sort of animal control then yeah, we would probably need to do the same sort of thing with them.
Okay.
If they were to bring it here. If they were to do some sort of animal deal, they might wanna do their own animal.
That's
shelter.
right, yeah.
Intake would
For
be
their own
Sure.
city.
Shirley doesn't even have a police department, so they really wouldn't, but Damascus might, they might decide to hire an animal control officer and do something. So if they wanted to bring their dogs here, then they would need to do something with them. Yeah, they need to have some sort of agreement.
Until then, it would just be under the county's agreement, if we have an agreement.
Yeah, if the county wanted to charge Shirley, they can charge Shirley. If they wanted to charge Damascus, they
Yep.
can do that.
I think right now they just do it as part of their general jurisdiction.
Anything else on the council before we, at any time when they're done talking, I mean, I know y'all are gonna. So, I'll open it up to anyone in the audience and stand up, and Judge, you may wanna have some input, maybe not, I don't know.
The only thing I would encourage you guys to not do is lock in a rate, like a daily or a intake fee. Make it a minimum of, because you don't know what's gonna happen. Your prices may go up, or you may decide that you need to charge more. And I think since you are the ones running it, you should be able to charge whatever you want, and if we either pay it or we don't use you. So, I'm gonna try to work with y'all the absolute best that the county can, because God bless you for doing what you're doing. It's a task.
First, I have a question for you, Mr. James.
Okay.
And stand up and state your name, I know Dale James.
My name's Josh Wiley.
Come on up here, Josh, and just bellow. I mean, they know, I can't hear anymore.
My name's Joshua Miley. I own and operate a kennel where I train Labrador retrievers for those dogs, all that kind of stuff. My question is, does Van Buren County still have an animal control officer?
Yes.
Okay. So Clinton Police Department will be taking care of the dogs in the city limits, and then Van Buren County will be taking care of the ones in the county? Okay. I've got several different things. First of all, will there be a board appointed or voted, elected to oversee not only the animal control, but the shelter and animal control together? That way the money can be like a budgeted for that.
And then that board would be the ones oversee it, because if not, I don't understand who would be responsible
Right.
if anything was to happen at the shelter. Another thing I mentioned to a couple guys was the possibility of contracting it out to an organization that would come in and for a yearly rate, operate animal control in the shelter. There's organizations out there that will do that. So there's just several different things to think about, but I applaud y'all for taking over the shelter or trying to attempt to take over the shelter, because our area needs something drastically. And I applaud the city for doing that. There's several other things I can think of, but I'm not gonna take up all y'all's time, but just, that was some things I might point out, you know, that, cause I know like, there's several cities, Clarksville, Arkansas for one, they contract out their animal control and shelter the whole 9 yards. And there's several organizations that will, I don't know who they use, I know it's an organization that's in Clarksville. So they'll use like a local business or a local shelter, rescue to do it. I don't know how it all works, but I just know it works. But that's all I had. I just didn't know if Van Buren County, since this was going on with the shelter deal, I didn't know if y'all were still gonna have animal control or not. Let's see. Oh, how were you planning to, hang on, I had some questions on my phone. I couldn't remember what all were.
While you're looking, Josh, I'm gonna be, down there every day, and I can come in anytime at City Hall, and some of those questions, that's been brought up by Laura, are you gonna have a board or not? And I'm just thinking, well, to get us to the end of the year, maybe just get some council members and the police chief, myself, and, that be our board. It may be a good idea, it may be a lousy idea, but I think, just trying to get our bearings as we move forward, maybe try to get to the end of the year and get to budget time in the fall and say, man, this is brutal, we can't do this, maybe we should contract it out. But I'm thinking, that's just the one side. If the other side is, no, we can do it and control our intake. I think, the housing is 24 dogs and 9 cats is our deal. Well, one thing, the way I was talking to the attorney about is, I think we set that, what, is it 24? Do we say, we want a space in between, maybe it's 15?
Yeah.
I don't know. But,
Well, I will give y'all, because y'all were talking about a number for like a daily kind of figure on.
yeah,
At my max capacity, I have 15 dogs that I'm training.
say it again.
At my max capacity, at my kennels,
Yes,
I have 15 dogs in for training. Of that 15 dogs, I basically see what I spend a month on dog food, and I divide it up between 15 dogs. And then I average that out with not only that, but then a little bit for like labor, for cleaning kennels, of course, training the dogs, all that kind of stuff. I charge $25 a day for a dog to be in my facility, if it's not on training. If it's just, if they want to bring their dog in to be boarded with me, it's $25 a day. That takes, your food is going to be anywhere, depending on what you feed. Price is going up every day. What I feed is $60 a bag, and they're talking about going up to $80 within the end of the month. But right now, we're looking at $8 to $10 a day per dog, depending on the size of the dog.
and another thing, there is that trust that we will have access to, and that does cover food.
Mhm.
But what we'll have to look at, whatever we decide is,
Well, and then you've also got to look at what you're going to do when the trust is depleted. You've got to have a plan for the future. I mean, what are you going to
Sure.
do as far as, you've got your fees coming in for dogs that are being adopted out. You've got your fees coming in, like intake fees and stuff like that you were talking about. And you'd have to figure out how to put that back into a budget to run the shelter and take care of animal control. So, if you take the fees from all your fines, that you issue citations and stuff for animal control, and then you take adoption fees and stuff from the shelter and put all that back into one budget, that'll start building your budget up to carry on in the future. So, just some thoughts I'd had, and I just thought I'd throw it out there, because I know there for a while, and still is right now, people all the time talking about dog problems. I'm not a big cat person, so I really don't focus on that, but dogs are my life, and they need, if the people that own them aren't gonna be responsible for them, somebody has to be. So, that's all I got.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience?
Yes, I'll introduce myself. Several of you I know, but I'm Dr. Deborah Brennan. I'm a veterinarian, mostly retired, but I've had 45 years in the profession, and I've served on boards for Humane Society, large county ones actually, and I know how shelters run, and I know what they need, and there is a lot of expense in shelters when it comes to the care of the animals. You don't know when you pick up a dog if it has heartworms or not. You have to assume all of them have not been vaccinated, so you need to do that. And you have to be on guard for diseases. So I think Judge James's suggestion to not set a, maybe start with a minimum and then reevaluate would be a good plan. Costs of neutering and spaying and other things have to be added into that. Some dogs that are strays have already been neutered or spayed. So each one will cost differently as its intake. But what I want to specifically talk about, I spent most of my career as a public health veterinarian dealing with diseases and disease control and epidemiology. And as many of you know, diseases are transmitted back and forth between animals and people. And without healthy animals and a way to keep them off of our streets, not only do we have to worry about rabies and dog bites, but we also have to worry about stray animals on the sides of the road with legs dangling on their side, or lots of carcasses on the road. That's not very good for tourism and certainly not going to promote our area as far as businesses relocating here. So there's a lot more to it, but especially from a children's perspective, things like roundworms, hookworms, other things that stray dogs would be prone to because they're not being cared for, those things are directly transmissible to children running around in bare feet. They don't have to eat them, they can just pick them up, running around. There are a lot of tick-borne diseases we have in this area, and stray animals serve as a reservoir for those. So if the stray animals are not on heartworm preventative, we can be almost 100% sure they're going to have heartworms, and that serves as a reservoir for your dogs and my dogs, so that we more or less have to keep our animals constantly treated, because stray dogs will have heartworms and it's spread by mosquitoes. Same with ticks. They're all going to have ticks this time of year, and we have a lot of tick-borne diseases here, and that's another thing we have to be concerned about. The ticks themselves are reservoirs for at least 7 diseases here in Arkansas, and if we have them on stray animals here, that means that the ticks that we pick up, and I don't know about y'all, but I have a farm between Culpeper and Formosa, and I usually get 3 to 4 ticks off a week. I don't want to get star disease and not be able to eat meat anymore. I don't want to get, so the more we can minimize reservoir hosts, which stray animals are going to serve as, it's going to affect all of our health eventually, whether it be parasites or whether it be ticks or things, even stable flies. If dogs are not being fed and they're stray, they're going to hit our garbage cans and our trash, and that's going to bring rats and mice around, and that's going to bring salmonella. I mean, I've spent my life doing this and tracing food diseases, and a lot of them trace back to things like garbage availability. So our community here is wonderful as far as our schools and our recycling and so our hospitals, so many things that give us a great advantage, but it could all be overshadowed by community health and wellness. So from a community perspective, and I do serve on the wellness community for the county, we talk about these issues once a month when we meet at, in the quorum court. And I work with the public health doctor in looking at the diseases we have present and what we need to do to minimize that. So stray animals, both dogs and cats that serve, cats especially with toxoplasmosis, which is in their feces, and they get in your gardens, and next thing you know, you're eating your organic vegetables and you pick up toxoplasmosis. So I just wanted to say that from a community health perspective, we have to do something to make sure that we keep these stray animals off the streets, treated where we can, and you know, it's just important for all of our health. So some of these parasites live in the soil for over 100 years. So once they've gone around the baseball fields and everything else, it's not like you can just go treat them and the kids will be safe there to run around barefooted. It's not the case. So anyway, I serve as a resource for this county on the wellness committee, and am happy to answer any questions any of you have in the future about what sort of issues we have in the county and what sort of programs we deliver.
Thanks. I have, next Tuesday, that's Lori's coming in. I didn't know what your availability. I know Jay and I are gonna spend a lot of time with her, and you are a great resource. What's your opinion of having some sort of board?
Well, I think it's good to have a board. I mean, you need some expertise when you make decisions. Do we want to treat this animal or not? Is this animal dangerous to the community and should it be euthanized? Or is this animal too injured and the cost of treating it would be too much? So I think having the expertise of Lori as a veterinary technician and having a veterinarian on the board would help you all to make those sorts of decisions at where to draw the line. Because when the animal control officer picks up the stray, you're not gonna know till it gets in there, till it gets examined, whether it has heartworms or not. You'll know the general cost for the vaccines for it. You won't know if it's spayed or not. Male dogs, it's pretty easy to tell, but.
And the chip, if it has a chip, that's a reader.
Yes.
Maybe that the animal control, I mean, you could know that pretty quick. It's
Yes.
not, okay.
Yeah, you can know it immediately. Yeah, and there are 2 readers available that'll go with the shelter. So, yes. The problem with the chips is a lot of times, well, one of the animals I had was chipped, but the owner didn't want it back, and that's how I ended up with it. And another time, the chips have to be maintained by the owners. When they move, you have to go into the computer and input your
That's
new
the
address and
problem.
all.
I knew that.
And they're bad about
Yeah.
that. So a lot of times you have to
Have to
investigate.
recalibrate it for
Well,
how do you have a chip in there that it not show up?
it will show up, but what I'm saying is it'll show the number and then it'll show a name and address. But that name and address may be somebody that gave their animal up years ago
Got
to
it.
somebody else, or you find them in Florida and their owner's in Connecticut. I mean, all of that sort of thing happens. And then the people themselves, as they move, they have to maintain that in the database. So there's a personal responsibility among people to make sure, and I do it once a year. I go into my system and I check all my chips, and I borrow the reader from Lori and I check to make sure they're all still reading. And then I go into the database to be sure that my address and phone number are still in there and correct. So you have to have responsible people.
Do you think, in your opinion, we do an adequate job of making sure everybody gets their shots and license? Or you wouldn't know that, but is
Well,
our database pretty small for a town this size, in your opinion?
I think it is, yes. I mean, I know, I used to talk to Ben Mays quite a lot about this, and he said that we don't enforce the licensing the way we should, and that if we charged and followed up with the licensing fees, that would be additional money for the shelter. So I don't know exactly how you go about it. It's like a code enforcement issue. You know,
Every
you
time
have-
you need him, he's on his phone.
Yeah, I see that. It's like a code enforcement issue. You'd have to be willing
And
to.
maybe the police, you know, as well, for the,
Yes, yes, but I don't believe many of our animals in the city are licensed. And I have a home in the city too on Mack Street, so I see a lot of stray animals running in the fields there.
We have an ordinance, and we have licensing fees already, and our licensing fees are $5.
Yes.
For dogs that are spayed or neutered, and I believe 25 if they're not.
15.
15, okay. In your opinion, is that a good fee, or do we need to go up on that?
I
or-
think that's been the same fee 20 years, right? I mean, well, there's two issues with that. One is, if you keep it low, hopefully you can encourage more people to get a license.
We've kept it low, and they're not getting licenses. So.
Yeah, exactly, so that's not helping.
From my perspective, it's kind of hard to go around and enforce this. There's a $5 license, and nobody's get it. You know, why are we going out and finding somebody because they didn't get a $5 license? So,
I don't think that helps to go and fine them, no. I think that, and what'll happen is, you know, in a dog bite case, you'll go out and investigate and you find out that they don't have a license, but what you really need to know is, do they have a rabies or not? And that will determine how long you have to hold the animal in isolation, or if people need to get the whole set of
But
rabies
our
shots.
city licenses requires them to have rabies shots. So we know if they have a city license, they have a rabies shot. So there's that, but.
Well, do you send out reminders on the licenses every year?
It's like
So-
the business license. We don't send reminders out every year, so nobody renews it.
Well, in Arkansas, we're required, even though I give a 3-year vaccine for rabies, we're required by Arkansas law to vaccinate yearly. So if they're not getting licensed yearly, maybe they're not getting vaccinated yearly either. So, I mean, I think that would take working with our local veterinarians that are in the area, because I know Ben said we don't follow up on the licenses the way we should. We could ask for their database of animals that they see and ask them if they know if they have licenses or not. I mean, I think there's ways you could do a better job. So, and I don't know who would be the one to do that, but, and I think $5 is low. I mean, I think it should be at least 10.
20?
I would think for cats, 10, and for dogs, 20.
And for unspayed or neutered, I was thinking $100.
You know what? I'm thinking the cost of spaying and neutering them is what I charge, and then they're gonna wanna just
Exactly.
drop them off in the country and let it become your problem.
But if they want to keep their dog, I think they would rather spend the money on a spayed or neutered than spend $100 a year.
I absolutely agree.
But if they're
That's your
if they're a
$100.
Your fee.
a dog that you raise, I mean, that you wanna breed or something,
Yeah, gotcha.
you're gonna pay $100 a year just to keep it in the city,
I would,
you know?
I would.
Some would, but most won't. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're breeding it, I understand
How many
that.
people are in the city
They're not
raising
gonna
dogs? Are you in the
take
city
off and
raising
do it.
dogs? Okay.
Yeah.
So, in the first place, are we gonna even allow people to raise dogs inside the city limits? Because, I mean, that's.
I would think if you do, you would need them to register for a license.
Yeah.
And then charge the rest.
Yeah.
Well, it also should be a commercial business too.
It's a commercial endeavor, and I think there should be more regulations go along with it.
Yeah, dog breeding's gotten way,
It has.
it's
Arkansas's
not
bad
just-
about that.
it's not just purebred dogs, it's.
It's mutts.
Designer dogs.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're getting.
Well, I mean, you can see if, on Facebook, you know, news that Clinton should know, people are trying to peddle their animals. Now, in some cases, they picked up strays that were bred. Okay, I understand that. I mean, that wasn't their fault. They need to spay and neuter them then, and they have puppies to deal with. But I think that we can do a better job promoting spay and neuter. And there are some low-cost entities that will support spaying and neuter. So, you know, we can look into that further. As a matter of fact, you know, we had a deal when I first got my dogs from the shelter here. It was $50 fee, and they got spayed, neutered, all their vaccines, and microchipped. And I thought, wow,
It's a bargain.
that's really an incentive. As a veterinarian, I know what that would cost me to buy the materials and do the surgery. So it was a steal. So you had people more than willing to adopt, you know, rather than shop at pet stores or whatever. But we do have a lot of breeding going on in here, and a lot of people don't know about it. So, and they're mostly mutts, yeah. So, and I don't know how you get people to stop. They think they're gonna make money at it. It's that, I mean, I said to Sid, you're gonna be our new animal control person. I said, everybody's calling him all the time with animals they wanna give away free to a good home. He says, I know, I don't know what to do about that. But, you know, he's become our de facto fallback person. Or this stray showed up here, I wanna find its owners, or I can't keep it.
Trading post.
Yeah, Sid.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. No, Sid.
I was trying not to, my wife's here, and I can't hear, and I knew what you were gonna ask him, and he ratted me out.
I hear it for sure.
But you see, those would be perfect opportunities to get licensing and, you know, that sort of thing, so.
Well, it always comes down, well, if we could just get the message out, but also, it is a small municipality, you know, I know what we're up against, but we have to have something in place that, okay, someone got bit, or there's 3 mean dog, you know, over the neighbor's yard again, you know, we have to have something in place, so we'll do that, but, yeah, I appreciate you know, people that's in the business and know the price of stuff. I mean, we'll definitely rely on our price. I appreciate the judge saying, hey, don't price yourself out of the game. Because I think I hope the county, the city will, you know, we have to act and have something in place. We're not gonna try to gouge anybody.
No, I agree.
Jeff makes a good point, you do, of like, well, make it reasonable if you have it, and if you're gonna spay and neuter, if it qualifies. Some people just don't want it done, you know, my dog, I don't know. But, just have something in place to do it, and then maybe the fine. Now, I may have missed that. Do you think a fine or something, if someone did, you know, was caught without that, a larger fine would be preventive maintenance, or no?
I don't think so,
Probably not,
no.
no.
So you don't think,
because you have to catch them first.
you don't think if we pick up a dog and we find out who the owner is and they're not licensed in the city, you don't think we should give them a ticket?
I think you should, in order for them to pick up their dog, make them get a license. Yeah, and make them pay whatever fees were for
The problem with animals, it's not gonna be people that, oh, that ain't my dog, or, okay, you want me to take the dog back, but I don't have no money. I mean, you're gonna have I feel like, it's gonna be hard to,
So
it's like trash. It's gonna be hard to do.
It takes a while to change. It will take a while to change.
I'll tell you, animal control and violations and prosecuting them in district court, number one, not my dog. Proven beyond a reasonable doubt that's my dog. I can do it. We've been watching on Facebook. I can do it. I've done it before. But then number two is, okay, pay $100 fine. Okay, I don't have any money because these are the thoughts.
But I'll take that dog.
They're bad decision makers, so they probably haven't done a lot of budgeting to be able to pay their fines. So and then it becomes a collection issue. You don't make money. You don't make money off fine collection on animal control issues. You don't budget around it. It might compel better behavior from folks, but I haven't seen a lot. Most people we prosecute. I mean, we do it, but.
So you're saying you can't collect the money from them?
I'm not saying I can't. I'm saying it's challenging, And
I mean, how different is it than a speeding ticket? Somebody gets a speeding ticket and they don't
because
pay
if
it.
you are driving really fast through town, you might be someone who has a lot of disposable income to pay your speeding tickets. If you're someone who takes on a dog and then just doesn't bother to put up a fence to keep it in or doesn't really feed it, you might not be the type of person that has a lot of disposable income.
And they still want to
I don't mean to
drive.
stereotype folks, but I'm gonna stereotype.
They're gonna pay that fine because they still want to drive, go to work and whatnot.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
the
it's
dog,
Yeah.
you can't suspend their driver's license for
The
having a dog.
the demographic of people that we end up prosecuting for animal violations, they don't typically have a lot of funds.
Josh, you
Yeah,
want to say
one more
something?
thing I forgot to mention, when we was talking about the cost of everything and how to dissolve some of it, raise the adoption fees. You can charge that daily fee that you set, which I understand not setting one because it's gonna change, but set a minimum daily fee. Add that daily fee into your adoption. Add your spay and neuter into your adoption fee. Add your medicines into your adoption fee. Then raise your adoption fee. There's shelters all over the country that are getting $150, $200 adoption fees for dogs. And we're only asking, what, 75, 50?
Yeah, 50 to 70.
And that's gonna help put more money in that budget to run the shelter, is if you raise those adoption.
Well, you might end up with more responsible owners too.
Yes, another thing was talking about all the laws and everything. If you give them a citation the first time for, like, say your license fee is $5. So if you're caught, give them a $25 citation for not doing that $5 licensing fee. If you're caught again, pay $75. If you're caught again, lose your dog.
Yeah, but what that's just what I said.
Then we just picked up a dog.
What they're saying is that they don't care, they're just let you, okay, take the dog, you know, it's not.
Well, and then that's where you start putting stuff on their criminal record where they can't own dogs.
Well, but I agree, but there's not everybody looks at that the same. They're like, okay.
And the other problem with it is we don't want the dog, keep the dog. We want them in a home. So you're trying to, the adoption fees, if they get too expensive, people are gonna go out and buy a purebred boxer or blue heeler for
And they're gonna keep
$200.
them, and they're gonna take care of them because they're paying $2,500, $3,000 for them, and you won't need a shelter.
Ideally, but like I say, again, I'm back to something that the municipality, that's something we can maintain and budget and Jay, you don't say
I
anything.
just don't think we have a lot of people in our county that can afford that. You know, I mean, where I practiced, it was up in the northeast, and there was a lot of money there, and people could, I mean, our shelter did charge $150.
Well, I mean, people
$200.
come down here and can't believe, and we go up there and can't believe some things they do.
Yes,
But it's just something that, you
It's
know, we're
just
gonna
different.
take on, and I think getting our feet wet, even this 2-week period in July, will help a lot. Give me a little time, but also the day-to-day, I mean, I have to find out, how am I gonna manage it? I can go out there every day, 2 times a day, and feed 2 dogs and a cat, no problem. But after that, what's the plan? I think that's what our group that I mentioned earlier ran into. They have people to go walk them, they have people to help, but no one consistent. And you had 4 or 5 people that can never leave town ever on a certain day, and then some of the other days, because they cover for each other.
yep.
And it was out of sight and out of mind.
Well, and that shelter at sometimes had 60-plus dogs. You know, and that's a
Yeah.
huge amount to clean. The cleaning part of it is,
That's where you're, get away from I mean, I understand, and there's a lot of people that don't like my idea about this. Get away from the no-kill. Put a time limit on them dogs, 120 days. If that dog's not adopted in the 120 days, you're gonna have to euthanize it because you can't have taxpayers constantly paying money to take care of this dog.
After 120 days, you say what?
Euthanize it.
Yeah, so you say don't have, you know, don't enter into we're not a no-kill facility.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, you can, another thing that I would think of in a shelter, and this is not just because I'm a dog trainer, But I have seen enough dogs come from shelters that end up right back in them.
Yeah.
Because the people that adopt them can't handle them once they get home. If the dogs had basic obedience on them, when they go home, that's up in their chances of staying there. We're not doing this to take people's dogs and kill dogs. We're doing this to give the dogs a better life. And if they go from that shelter to a home and they have the best chance of staying in that home, that's your goal, that's your ultimate goal. So if you've got people working in that shelter, they can do basic obedience, it's not hard.
Well, I agree, but it comes down to volunteers, because the city can, you know, put some money, X amount, but then it's like anything, it's, someone mentioned on the council, anything, church, hey, I'm gung ho, I wanna do this, and you get a bunch of people, and then after about a month, you have the same 3 people looking at each other and saying, man, where's everybody at?
Yeah.
So what I don't wanna do is get something that we can't afford.
And that would go
We
back
do
to
wanna
like-
keep it safe.
That would go back to like what Mr. Lynch was talking about with the trustees at the jail. There's shelters all over the country doing that. They're using inmates and prisoners to train.
Well,
them.
I think that's definitely an issue, and maybe this little extra time might be beneficial to us, we'll see. I
Yeah,
don't
we
want
could
to
do a
just,
pause in prison program, which they do all over the country. And it socializes the dogs and it's good for the prisoners.
I'm just trying to throw some money, because that's there to help you out.
anything else, Dia?
I'm not meaning to tell my age or nothing, but
Well, don't.
23 years ago, when I sat where y'all are sitting, this was an issue. It's always been an issue. It's always gonna continue to be an issue.
Right.
I guess my question is the city, let me back up. Has anybody gone to like Little Rock or any other shelters like we did back then? Because I know things have evolved, new laws and everything else, gone and talked to anybody that's actually doing big time. Because like myself, Paul Bone, Joe T, we went to Little Rock, different shelters when we first started this back in '99. That might be an option to go look at somebody that's established and what they're doing in a bigger city.
I think what you're gonna find, DL, because there was a story on Channel 11 this morning on Pulaski County on their animal shelter. And I think, and they're a no-kill shelter, but I guarantee you Pulaski County probably has, you know, some type of designated, I probably don't have a designated sales tax, but they have some type of designated line of revenue each month that actually, that's why they can be a no-kill shelter, because they have enough money coming in to cover all the expenses to run.
Right, that brings
that
in my
shelter.
next question of, is it a city-run business? So if the city picks up, what'd you pick up this month?
One.
$5?
One.
One dog?
One.
And you end up with 60 out there from the county. How much of it is a county problem instead of a city problem?
Well, intake
I think what
is
I'm
gonna
saying is you
be,
can
yeah, I
have
agree. I mean,
licenses
that's my
inside the
premise.
city, but if the county's
Intake
not-
will be critical, and I don't think we can ever do something that we can't afford.
Right.
I mean, we're pretty responsible, the county's you know, at some point they said, it's getting too much. You know, and I would look at size of city like us, there's a couple of cities around I've talked to, I looked at their ordinance on, was pretty, you know. it's
Well, like,
pretty-
we got into the
pretty
problem
strict.
of Joe goes coon hunting up here, lets his dogs loose, and now they run for 4 or 5 days, and somebody
Right,
gets
right.
mad, now what do you do?
Well, I think I was in on that council you was talking about, that's when I said I'd come back, and one of the first solutions, put 4 yards of concrete on this chain link fence, and that lasted about a couple of months.
Maybe, yeah.
It didn't even last that long, but anyway. I just want to hear from everyone talk, I'll be in my office every day, so call me on my cell number and I'll be glad to talk. I don't want to cut anybody short tonight, but I think we're going to get into a lot of cyclical discussions, but I think tomorrow I'm going to look at the utilities and the cost. Thanks a lot, Josh, you guys. I'll be calling you a lot, so. Anybody out there want to say, add anything, or any of the council want to add anything? I do appreciate all of you being here, and like I say, 253-0160. So call me, or come see me anytime. Nothing else, that'll bring us to public comment. We've had a lot of that, somebody else may have another. Jim may want to get up and tell everybody what a nice person I am. Appreciate the council, I appreciate Dewey stepping on in this job and taking over the animal shelter situation. I think he's a straight shooter like all y'all. If you agree with me, you'll tell me. If you disagree, I guarantee you'll tell me. And you'll never hold it against each other for the next topic. And I appreciate all your input. It's serious. This Saturday, from 10 to 12, this Saturday, at the City Park behind John Hargis's there, Huddle House, from 10 to 12, Woodmen of the World is going to dedicate the flag. They're going to have children fingerprinting. They're going to have a flag dedication at noon. So be sure and do that. They'll also have a drawing for a gift bag with soap, local soap, Stevens Creek, plus $25 to, I think it's Outback. So it's $100 right there. We appreciate the Woodmen for putting that flag up. That'll be this Saturday. Don't forget that. Archie Fest, 24th and 25th. You know, hope I'm getting that right. Rick, appreciate you. I'll support that car show and advertise that for him. He's taking on a big endeavor, like you said. It just looks easy on the front end. But you're going to have a great show, and Archie Fest will really be good. Like I said, call me on the shelter. I'll take calls anytime. I'll let you come in the office and talk to me and tell you all you want to say. Welcome Dewey here, and I'm still looking for a member to the airport commission. So, you know, somebody around, like I said, Harvey Swift was a definite thumbs up from everybody. He just has a domicile and not a residency here in Arkansas. So that's what I learned this week. Again, thanks for coming. Oh, I'm sorry, Charles.
I owe you some money, don't I? We need to get that approved.
Yeah, on the,
Do you remember how much it was?
I do not.
Rich.
And I didn't turn the TV
That's why he's here.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Sorry. Mark, get that on the highway department job.
What an idiot. He's been here every day. I'm like, oh, okay, how's the crew? Oh, good. I'm like, man, you're covering some ground for my... Mark Malone is our main guy with the highway department, and he's probably going to thump me for saying that. So, Sammy pressured me, and he's older, so be nice to him. So congratulations. They could not got a better guy. The hardest working guy you'll know, so. Welcome. Yeah, just realize that. No wonder he's been there. Sorry.
You got one vote.
Anything else, I'll get it. Nothing else further. Thank you so much. I entertain a motion second to adjourn.
Second. Jason.